It's showtime. That's what it says. It's showtime. That's on my screen. That's what it says. What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday to you. I'm going to start pulling up a couple things while some people start to trickle in. And the first question we always ask is where's everybody watching from? We have people from right down the street here in Orlando. We've got people I know from LA that watch, Hawaii, Texas, the Netherlands. We had people from France a couple weeks ago, Australia. It's been pretty crazy to watch where people are from. So I love to start this out. Where y'all from? Where you tuning in from? Queens, New York. What's going on, Stephen? Laura from merry old England. Cheerio. Joey from Kissimmee right down the road. What's going on, guys? Love to see you guys here on a happy Saturday. We got a lot of cool stuff to cover. I'm definitely going to, for those of you that haven't watched these before, basically we're going to go over a few stories that I think are relevant for people that are interested in Orlando, either moving here, vacationing here, owning a second home here. We're going to go through that for maybe just 10 or 15 minutes, different stories that I found, have some interaction there. And then we're going to get into some Q&A. So if you have any questions, make sure you feel free to drop those by. What's going on? Damien from Orlando, Adam from Colorado. What's up, my dude? Good to see you. Josh, when are you guys actually moving down? Brooklyn currently. What's going on, man? Ned, what's going on? Let's get this party started. My dude, Ned Kelly. Good to see you, man. Dennis from Southern Illinois. Carol from Toronto, Ontario. Canadians, what's going on? I'm getting more Canadians visiting the channel. And it's interesting because we have a lot of people from the UK on here, a lot of people from Brazil, and also a lot of Canadians. But for whatever reason, I don't know if my channel just hasn't attracted a lot of Canadians before, but we're getting a lot more. And I know that as the borders eventually open back up a little bit more with COVID, hopefully, behind us soon enough, that we'll be able to start seeing more of my Canadian friends down here. Looking forward to it for sure. All right, we'll just give it another 10 seconds or so. Got my second coffee of the day. It was Chris that mentioned it. What's going on? I'm excited for some more like Starbucks or not Starbucks, maybe some like Foxtail coffees to open here closer to home. They did just open up one in Winter Garden. It's like a small little one. But Foxtail's a cool local spot. They do a good job. They do a good job in general. All right, so let's get into this. What's going on, everybody? All right, we got a good 40, 50 people. What's going on, Eric? Good to see you. If you guys don't follow Fine Art by Eric over on Instagram, he does some really cool stuff. I'm a fan. I just ordered a print. I'm waiting for it to get here. Make sure it makes the wall somewhere there. Good to see you, man. All right, so let's get into the show here. Get rid of the banners. All right, cool. So there's a couple things going on, I think, that are important to talk about. The biggest one of all right now is home insurance. And so it's interesting to see what's going on with our home insurance here in Central Florida or Florida in general. I see all of the insurance policies that come through for our clients. And so why is this important? Well, affordability in Florida in general is getting harder and harder because there's people from all over the world moving here, buying second homes, moving here for jobs, moving here because they can now work remotely. It's just, booming for so many reasons. And so affordability for housing is getting a little bit tougher. But insurance all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, started sort of skyrocketing. And there's a lot of different reasons that is. Number one is because, going through here, what we're seeing essentially why the insurance companies started making claims was that because people were doing a lot of fraud because of roofs. We had obviously hurricanes. We had a couple bad years a few years back where people were obviously rightfully so placing claims. But then here in Central Florida, like we don't have a ton of insurance, hurricane issues, right? We have some roof issues. And so anyways, Florida, I started seeing, on our house, we've got like a 4,000 square foot house or so, newly built. And our insurance used to be like $1,400 for the year. And then all of a sudden it jumped to like $1,800. And then I saw a couple other people, we were doing, I've got a couple of custom homes that I sold recently, and I would have guessed that their insurance policies were going to be somewhere around $3,000. They came back at $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for the policy. And that's crazy when you start getting that kind of a bill back. It's almost as much as taxes are. And so, I would ask my insurance rep, like, listen, you guys got to help me broker these, like look at other companies. And they're like, this is what we're seeing all over, unfortunately. And so, for a family that's more on a budget, if you're looking at a $400,000 house and you're expecting an $1,100 insurance bill and all of a sudden it's 2,000, well, that could kind of mess up your cash flow, right? So bring in what just happened here, which was basically Florida legislature. This was just, I think, yesterday. They passed 2 new bills in the House and Senate, and now it needs to go to our governor to sign off on. But basically, they're basically trying to say, like, hey, instead of gouging people, what are we going to do here? And so the Senate bill changed eligibility for a lot of different companies in terms of how people can file. And looking through these, basically, here's one. It reduces the claim deadline on all claims to 2 years from the date of loss, except for supplemental claims, which would have an additional year, right? Require plaintiffs to file a pre-suit demand. So some of this is going to make it harder on the consumer, obviously, but then obviously some way they're going to protect the insurance companies, because I'm sure the insurance companies lobbied our local government to, make this also work for them, right? Here's some really big ones, though, that I do think needed some reform, and I'm glad that it made it in here. It makes it illegal for roofing contractors or any person acting on their behalf to make a prohibited advertisement. So what we see a lot of here, a ton here, is that we have a hurricane, and all of a sudden the roofers start circling the wagons, and you'll start seeing them very, very consistently driving and say, hey, we just had a hurricane, you should replace your roof. I'll get up on top and hopefully we can file a claim and get this done. And in some cases it needs to be done, right? There is damage, and the insurance company should pay for that damage if you paid for that coverage. But there's plenty of them that it's just an old roof and there's nothing really wrong with it, but they file the claims. And I think that that's part of the problem that we see here. A lot of people, it's kind of like a dirty secret that we see in our industry, that when you're selling a house and the roof is 20 years old, some people are like, oh, we'll just file an insurance claim. I'm sure it has some damage from some time. And then you get a new roof, and that perpetuates the problem with insurance costs, instead of the seller taking care of the roof like regular maintenance, which I know is an expensive cost. So I don't want to be insensitive to that, but it is a problem. And so I think it's with some of these things that they're working on, hopefully we see some of the things start coming down in regards to costs, because it's going to start getting unaffordable for some people, or they'll have to start making decisions. So we'll see how that goes. What do you guys think? What's going on? Navik from Massachusetts. Good to see you guys. Tony from UK. Good to see you guys. Carrie from Winter Garden. How are you? Carrie from Winter Garden. What's going on? Hey, what's your favorite spot to eat in Winter Garden? We did a man on the street video this week, actually, and we went to downtown Winter Garden. We went to downtown Orlando, and just asking people where they're from, how long they've lived in Orlando, what their favorite place to eat was, what they would change, what they love, all that kind of stuff. So those are some of the videos that we're going to be coming out with this week on our channel, but I'm excited. What's up, Clark? Good to see you, my bud. You're in Orlando. What's going on, man? Good to see you. So anyways, so insurance changes, I think that's going to be a really big deal for a lot of people moving forward. Hopefully that gets some of the costs down. So we'll see from there. This is interesting. I did a video around downtown Orlando condos a couple weeks ago, and it got some good love. And it was interesting because I think there's a lot of people moving to downtown Orlando, which in the suburban areas I thought was always very normal, but the demand for like condo living downtown Orlando wasn't something I was getting a lot of calls on before. And now that's really skyrocketing. And it was interesting to see this article kind of come up where they're talking about, record condo prices shattered by 2 new listings. The penthouses are selling. Some of these guys are getting like definitely not Manhattan-esque numbers, but for downtown Orlando, this was crazy. So then I dug in here for you guys to take a look at what these condos are actually looking like and what they're selling for. So here's one right now. This guy is listed for $2.6 million. It has been on the market for over a year, but 3,100 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 full baths, 2 half baths. But it's a cool view. I think it's a cool view. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it just floor to ceiling, windows. Kitchen's kind of outdated. Nice appliances, though. There you go. That view, though, of the city is quite nice. And as new buildings are popping up, which they are left and right in downtown Orlando, I think the sky is going to look even cooler. The skyline's going to look even cooler, something to actually take a look at. But this was an interesting one. And then you've got this one. This would just hit the market 2 weeks ago for 2.795 million. It's 4,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths with like a really cool rooftop terrace. So this one, check this out. Yeah, this one was just recently remodeled. Helen, you said what makes it outdated kitchen? I think, just looking at trends, if you're looking at the dark granite and like the mapley kitchens, that just sort of screams to that like mid 2000s. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think that you could live with it easily just fine, where this is like obviously hyper modern. This isn't, I wouldn't think that a lot of people are after this kind of look. But the whites and grays and quartz counters and different things like that would make it feel a little bit more modern. Here, I gotta show you this guy. Look at the outdoor space. Hold on. It's a nice closet. There's butler's pantry. Let's get to that. Yeah, there we go. That's some pretty cool outdoor space. Yeah, Laura, I agree. It's a bit too modern for me too. Yeah, Victoria, 3 million in Orlando. That's it. It did kind of blow me away. But here's what's crazy, and I think this one is actually owned by. Yeah. So Mohamed Bamba, he played for or plays for the Orlando. 3 minutes ago, what happened with him? Oh, he's out. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, he's out for the next season. Had some COVID and some injuries. Oh, it stinks to hear. Anyways, well, he's listing his place, so that's what's going on with him. So that's his place. Then this one actually sold. Who mentioned that, Victoria? Look at this. So this one actually sold. This was listed for 2.75 million. This was another in the. This is actually more my style. A little bit more like browns, creams, natural wood. But just for me, when I think Orlando, I don't think high rise. I don't think downtown condo living. And yet there's a lot more people demanding it and people going into some of these buildings that were built in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, remodeling these units and all of a sudden getting millions for them. That's an interesting change for our area, something that we really never had seen before. And I think that it'll be interesting, sort of the change. Someone mentioned Tampa down below. Like, yeah, I mean, I think Tampa, that makes sense. Like when you're thinking about like water views, or you're thinking like Miami, where you've got, amazing skyline, but like downtown Orlando, to start seeing that, I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. And especially as you put more buildings up. Unfortunately, so many of these buildings are apartments where you can't like actually, when you think New York apartment, you can actually purchase them. Here, you're just renting most of the time. And, whereas I think that people are going to see more demand for either condo conversions or apartment conversions to where you can actually purchase them. That'll be an interesting trend. I almost guarantee some of these older apartments, you'll start to see conversions to where people are going to, purchase these and sell them. So we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, going back to when we're talking about the insurance there. So Carrie mentioned, we had to walk away from the first house we ever made an offer in, Windermere, due to the 14-year-old roof. It was uninsurable and we couldn't come to a compromise. So that's crazy. Carrie, you're absolutely right. And so the seller in those situations, they either need to, wait, let's back up. So you want to buy a house, it's got a 14-year-old roof. Not every insurance company even wants to give you a policy on those roofs anymore. So if the roof is like more than 10 years old, a lot of times, and here in Florida, you could potentially have a roof for, 15, probably not 20 years, but 15 to 18 years, no problem. But if it's 10 years or older, some insurance companies won't do a policy. And so then the seller either needs to replace it, which they're maybe asking you to cover half or something like that, or it's going to kill the deal. And so there's a lot of crazy things. So add this insurance deal on top of the crazy market that we're already in, and it just creates one more little issue there. All right, what else do we have to talk about today? I got some other stuff here. Go Evermore. So somebody asked me about Evermore on a past live, and honestly, I knew a little bit about it, but I wanted to dig in more so I could speak a little bit more intelligently about it. And so it was interesting. So if you guys know where this is like 535, the Villas of Grand Cypress. So 535, right off of right over by Disney Springs. It's like pretty close there. So there was the Villas at Grand Cypress. It used to be a really nice golf community. They had, golf there. It was a Jack Nicklaus golf course. And then the developers who bought it then bought 1,200 acres next door. And then now they're closed it down to completely remodel it. And so here's what they're doing. They're doing a 1,100 acre project total. And I think it's like 1.1 billion is what they're going to invest in it. Let's see. Yeah, 1.5 billion in Evermore Orlando. Check this out. So it's going to be, they want it to be like one of the largest in all of Central Florida, or actually in all of Florida. But here's what's interesting to me about what they're doing. So with so many people buying Airbnbs right now, and buying a home, a second home, because people, I think some people want the resort life where they're like, hey, we're renting something, we're in a resort, we get to use the amenities, then we pop over to the parks. But there's plenty of people that want to have a house and they want to rent something, and they get a bunch of their buddies together, a bunch of families together, they get an 8-bedroom home, they rent it. It's like it's obviously huge here. Like a huge part of our market, especially in the resort market, is the Airbnb market. So here's what they're doing at Evermore is they're actually going to be building houses, but then I don't think they're selling them. I think they're actually going to hang on to them and rent them out like different villas, which I think is a very, very smart thing to do to disrupt the disruption of their own industry. Because like a lot of Disney execs are like, we need more amazing resorts so that people stay on property, right? Spend more money here. But you've got all these Airbnbs. How do you compete with them? Well, I think this is a way to do it. You build your own resort with your own little houses around them. And I think that that's kind of cool. So they're going to have family style vacation homes and flats that provide 10,000 more bedrooms to this area. And so let's take a look at some of these here. I think they're pretty cool. So these are some of the flats that they're going to do. So it's going to be 5 to 11 bedroom homes with private pools, villas, flats, plus the hotel. And here's kind of like the rendering. Let you guys take a look at that. It's cool. I think it's really, it's impressive, like super, super impressive for what they're doing. All right, I got one more thing for you. Desi, we're going to talk about that for sure. So, Desi talks about it feels almost impossible to buy a home right now with so much competition and waitlist and new builders. So we're actually going to dive into this. I will come back to you first when we get to the Q&A portion. I got one more thing to talk about, and then we'll get into the Q&A. So make sure you feel free to start dropping some of your questions down below, and I'll make sure we get as many in today as possible. I'm excited to dive in with you. So one more thing for you guys. I thought this was just an interesting thing. So this is what the real estate agents see in the back end. This is the MLS, right? So this is an interesting like market watch. I look at this thing every single morning when I wake up and kind of see what's going on with our market here locally. So this is actually all of Orange County, all of Orange County, Osceola County, Lake, and Seminole. So those 4 counties. And you can kind of see basically this is just the past 7 days. There were 732 new listings. And then some of them had increases, some of them had price decreases. A lot of this price decreases really comes down to 2 things. One is going to be some sellers maybe got a little bit greedy early on. They listed too high and the house didn't sell, so then they had to bring it down. But most of the time right now, it's builders playing with pricing, going back and forth on new models, raising, decreasing, just kind of playing with the market to see where the sweet spot is for them. But I thought this was really interesting. So check this out. So there were 700 new listings, 165 increases, 254 back on the market. So what do you guys in the comments, what do you guys think? Why would something go back on the market? I'll wait for a couple comments while I drink my coffee. So the reason why a house would come back on the market in today's market would be one of, I guess, 3 different reasons. One, it would be a mortgage issue, which could be that insurance that we talked about earlier. It could be a bad appraisal. It could be a bad inspection. And that's really about it right now. And so it's interesting to see, when you go look at how many went pending. So 1,200 went pending. And of that, what's 254? Roughly 20% came back on the market, which that seems really high to me. But it does make sense. I mean, bad appraisals happen left and right now. Buyers back out sometimes because they feel like they've overpaid. And so do they get to inspection and the seller's not willing to negotiate because they're like, hey, I've got a line of buyers out the back door. I don't really need you to hang on if you don't really want to. And so you're seeing a lot of that. I just wrote an offer last night, got it accepted. Congratulations to my clients over in Laureate Park. The house fell apart because buyer financing had a bad appraisal. Plus the person couldn't prove their job qualifications. So my buyers jumped in the moment it got listed, sight unseen. We wrote an offer, got it accepted. Inspections next week. So that's the kind of stuff you got to do in today's market. But this is okay. So wrapping this up, this little section here, like why is this important? So 700 new listings, 1,100 sold. So do you guys think that we are do we think we're in still a seller's market? Or this basically doesn't paint a picture that things are getting any better, unfortunately. And so the things that you don't see here are like new construction is one, right? So new construction, a lot of builders, even if they have 20 lots for sale or 20 opportunities, they only put like one on the MLS. And then that's why it's important for guys like me to go visit all of the different neighborhoods, get to know all of the different on-site reps to make sure that I've got a good relationship with them. I just put one under contract 2 days ago in Winter Garden, and we had been stalking this next section. And so I'm like, listen, I bugged her so much, the on-site rep, who's amazing. Listen, the moment that it goes live, please, please, please let me know. One more thing before we dive into Q&A. And so for those of you that follow me because of Island Village, hold on a second. We just got a bunch of other things get released this week. Actually, that's a really big point. So Island Village, you had townhomes get released last week, and the pricing, unfortunately, was like in the 400s to start. They went from 400 to, let's see, actually, I think I've got the print off here. There we go. I can share this with you guys. Thanks for your patience. All right, so this is the breakdown of Island Village. This is the first releases of Island Village were townhomes, and these guys were 1,800 square feet, 1,600 to 1,800, almost 1,900 square feet, and those were three bedrooms, all of them 2-car garage. They're going to be available in July or August. So again, the builders are still waiting for things to go almost to get finished. And then when they're almost finished, then they're turning around and selling them. That's almost every builder now is not allowing you to pick your lot, pick your model, pick your finishes and that sort of thing. They're waiting for it to be almost done, and then they're releasing this. So they went how they did these, they went back to 2018 on their VIP list. And so I couldn't even bring a buyer unless they were signed up back in 2018. So 3 years ago, and they went through their list, and basically I think all of those are sold out at this point. But they did release their layouts and what they're looking at for the rest of it. So there's these, if you look at their website, and I can drop this down in the comments after this is live, I'll post it in the description on this comment so you can take a look. But basically they've got 3 different series here, plus their amenities. The only thing that's not in here, there is a 4th product, which are like their 70-foot lots. They're a little bit bigger that they don't have in here. But I was really, really impressed because Mattamy, they're a production builder for sure. But I think that Celebration definitely forced their hand in terms of getting some new types of models and some new concepts, which I think is really, really cool. So these are like the smaller homes. I actually get a lot of calls for these, people wanting to come down single story, 16, 1,700 square feet. So you got the Heart here. These are some of the smaller ones. They don't have pricing for these yet, but I know a bunch of these are already under construction, and they've got different elevations on these guys. I thought this one was really cool. Oops, let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. Yeah. So I think it's cool. It's a cool house. And then they've got one other series. The Hammock series might be a little bit bigger. No. Yeah, there we go. So these are 3,000 square feet, 3,200 square feet, which this is like the sweet spot. I mean, I think that they could sell out a ton of these 4 bedrooms, 3,200 square feet. Cause I get a lot of people that want Celebration, but they want newer. They want, a little bit more yard, all of those kind of things, but it just doesn't exist. Spring Lake is amazing, but it is really tight. If you go over to Island Village, they are building homes that are quite tight, very similar to this. One other thing I'll show you is like the amenity here. Yeah, I agree, Laura. The wraparound porch is gorgeous. Here's the amenities. So these are just some of the renderings. So these don't exist yet, but some of the renderings on what it's going to look like down there. So you're gonna have some shops, some retail on the bottom. I'm impressed. Like I really am. If they do what all of this is supposed to have happen, I think this is going to be a really big deal. I think they're going to sell out, unfortunately, extremely fast. but yeah, we'll see how it goes. But anyways, for those of you looking to get some more information about that, feel free to let me know. I'll drop the comment down below, and we'll kind of still roll forward. All right, let's get into some questions. 25 minutes. Sorry, that was a little bit longer than longer than usual, but I wanted to get out those things because of digging on me a little bit this week. All right, let's go back up, ask some questions. I said, I think it was Desi or Denny. Where are you at? Desi, here we go. All right, so it feels impossible, Desi says, to buy a house right now. So much competition and wait lists on new builders. Any thoughts when things cool down, when things may cool down to give buyers a chance? I think we're at least a year away from any kind of like slowdown. I don't think we're going to be in a crash. I don't. When you look at still affordability, I think this is inflation at its best. Unfortunately, I do think that this is something that it's not just hype. I think that we're going to continue to go up. It's just now, will some of these builders coming online with new developments give buyers opportunity to then get into other places, and that could be. But I don't think. I mean, when I'm going against 12 to 25 offers on one property, that to me says that, and some of these houses are not all that nice. They're just okay. And it's in all price points, like, 200,000 up to, I just wrote an offer, 1.5 million. We went like 100,000 over, and there were multiple cash offers that beat our offer. So like, I don't see that slowing down because there's so many other people out there looking. And so you do have to have a strategy in place and be super patient in the process. And so, it's interesting. I talk to a lot of other big teams. And so for those of you that don't know, I run a real estate team. I still sell real estate personally, but I can't handle, I can't help everybody, unfortunately, at the high level that we want. So I have a couple agent partners that partner with me in different areas of town. And we constantly track everything from appointments that we go on to offers that we write to offers that get accepted. Right. And so, right now, year to date, and we've helped like over 150 people buy or sell here in Central Florida. Year to date, we're at about a 23% acceptance rate, which sounds really, really low. But then I've also talked to other team members, team leaders in Orlando and everywhere, from Michigan to Portland to just all over the country. And many of them are telling me that they're getting a 10% or less acceptance rate, meaning you're going to have to write 10 offers to get one accepted in many parts of the country. And so right now, for us, it might be 3 to 4 offers that you write before you get one accepted. And it's for us, we constantly talk on our team about how do we manage expectations with our clients to make sure that, you understand where we're at, but then also stay excited about the process, because it's still, I think, a great opportunity to own a home. Rents here are extremely high. And they're continuing to go higher because new apartments come in, they get rented out immediately. Buyers get upset, so they decide to pivot over to renting. And so rents are going up. And so it's not like that's a great opportunity for you either. So, managing expectations for us is like a huge part of what we do. Yeah, for sure. So I asked, I think I asked Carrie as well, like, what were some of your favorites? So also for favorite restaurants, Four Rivers is one of your favorites for sure. Did you know they've got a food truck at Disney Springs? It's actually very good. But yeah, when we're in Winter Park and some other places, Four Rivers is a really good one to go to. And I think that they're actually doing a couple other concepts. I don't know if you know, Carrie, or not. I would love to know, because the owners of Four Rivers, I think they do a really good job with their concepts. But someone had told me that they're going into something else other than barbecue. So that's interesting. Yeah, Jay, you said, downtown's going to change quite a bit over the next few years with major redevelopment happening soon. Yeah, I mean, they're building infrastructure like crazy. Anybody who's driven down I-4, you can see people coming on and off. There's new on-ramps, off-ramps, exchanges going in. They're leveling stuff like crazy. There's going to be more people, more demand for office space, I think, as people continue to go back to the office over the next year or two. It'll be really, really interesting to see downtown. And because of that, I think demand is going to go up on those condos that we talked about earlier. So it'll be interesting to see. Chris says he's like 3 cups in. Yeah, I get like these really big ones. So I'm sure this is like, I don't know, 4 cups of coffee a day or something like that. I don't know. There's less healthy vices than coffee. You know what I mean? All right. So let's see. Let's go through here. Yeah. Josh, man, definitely still a seller's market in so many different ways. Oh, so let's talk about this, Clark. Man, if you're around still and you want to text me, or if you want to drop it in the comments, that's okay too. So So Clark mentioned, so those that are buying and to rent out, we got a notice yesterday that our cleaning fees are going up due to the cost of living in Orlando. That's amazing. That's the first I've heard of that. I have heard of like, costs of goods going up. Lumber costs we've talked about are going up. Windows costs are going up. A builder told me the other day they're having really hard time finding people to build garage doors, which is kind of like, I don't know what it is about building a garage door is now become so hard, but that's become a tough thing for some guys. And so, but I've been waiting because as the costs of everything housing relating going up, people are going to have to start paying more for wages. People are going to have to start charging more for services just to keep up. I think it makes sense. Jay asks, is your commission lower when your buyer buys from a builder compared to a listing? It depends on the builder. Some builders are not even paying realtors right now. Like, I'll tell you, just be straight up, Mattamy is not paying, I don't think, on their VIP list, and yet I'm still helping buyers because it's the right thing to do. Some builders are offering bonuses still because they're like, hey, we're still having a hard time pushing our product in some of these outskirt areas. Please bring your buyers by. And so for us, it's funny because I'm a commission-based salesperson. You'd think that like commission's the only thing I think about, but it's not. It's really like, where's the best fit for my client? If it's that resale, is that new construction? And we take them wherever it goes. But it ebbs and flows with different builders. Some guys pay us more, some pay us less, and it's just part of the game, if you will. So Carrie, she says, thoughts on potential Disney mixed-use community coming to Lake Nona. I think it's going to happen. I've talked to enough people at Disney to know now that it seems as though if they can make all the numbers and everything work, that's going to happen. And I think it's going to be a mixed, somewhat, again, what it sounds like initially, it's going to be a mixed office and residential. I don't know that there'd be any retail there. But yeah, I think they're going to be bringing jobs to Lake Nona and then also some housing behind it, which is going to be cool. Ben, he said, hi from the UK. No royal family funerals this time when you do a live stream. Thank goodness. I hope everybody's healthy and happy and things are doing super well in the UK. So let's see. So Damien, you asked, bought a lot in Mount Verde, which is the last on Kalina Bay. What custom builders do I recommend? I mean, they're all really good out there. I like J. Drew's Construction because I like their transitional, like they're good small mom pop company, or not mom and pop. I think they're in their 30s or something like that. But just a small company. They're really good at what they do. They're passionate. I think they build a good product. But I also know a few of the other guys out there that also do a really good job. Also, if you guys don't know about Bella Kalina is like this. Like, we did a video about it a couple of years ago, just showing off the amenities. But I think Bella Kalina is about to blow up. In here's why. There's two builders that are now getting released in Bella Kalina. It's Toll Brothers and Dream Finders, and they're building more of a they're not custom builders. They're definitely more. They're like semi-custom. Like Toll Brothers is like the best, in my opinion, best production builder, but they do a lot of custom features. And if you want to move things around and on some of their models, they can do that. Well, they're going into Bella Kalina. They took down a ton of lots. And so you had Bella Kalina, which was taking a while because there's only so many custom home buyers out there that want to spend $1 million or $3 million. And so they're going to come in. I think they're going to start in like the 1.2, 1.3 and go on up from there, which is still very expensive, but like it's affordable luxury. And if you're looking for an amazing gated community, that's a golf community that's got a ton of amenities, Bella Kalina is going to be it. And yeah, so good luck with the build, man. If you want to reach out, happy to chat through. Hold on one second. Great question, Josh. So he says, how long does it take to build a new build? For example, for us, it started in February and they said it should be done by May, only 3 to 4 months. We thought that was too quick. Yeah, I mean, these production builders, especially like D.R. Horton, where you're building, and then like Lennar, Ryan Homes, ones that are, they kind of pre-plan all of these houses out to where they can just like, it's an assembly line. 4 months is about it. That's all they need to build a house. Some of the more custom guys are taking 8, 9, 12 months to build a house. And so that's typical. But really, when they used to quote build times, they used to include permitting times and all these other things, which is why it sounded like 6 to 7 months. But for the most part, most of these production builders can knock them out in 4 months, no problem. Annette says, "Are you wondering if there's affordable apartments to rent in Celebration?" Yeah, there's definitely apartments, and there's actually new ones coming on board. I think there's like 400 new units coming on, not in Island Village, but over on the Boulevard. They're stuck going to buildings now. They're probably going to be done, based on the timeline I'm seeing, probably in the next 4 to 6 months. And then there's going to be some down in Island Village as well. And so I think that that's going to be a good thing if you're thinking about renting in Celebration, because it's going to put some downward pressure because there'll be more supply. And so that's what we all need, is some more supply. What's going on, Andrew? Good to see you, man. Yeah, so they started building in March, and they should be done by August, October. Yeah, August through October. I went by the other day. You guys, the foundation was in. Everything was looking really solid. I know they're starting to block here shortly, so it'll be interesting. But like MI Homes they're definitely a mid-level builder. Like, they're a good mid-grade builder, and typically they're taking that like 6 to 7 months. Which, if they're going to take a time, it's going to be a little bit slower, which is good, I think. Buck, man, Four Rivers also has a chicken restaurant in Winter Park called The Coop. Man, I've not been there, but now I want to go. That sounds amazing. The Coop. Is it like is it fast casual, or is it like sit down, like a Chef Arts kind of thing? Some of these comments take a little bit of time. I'm excited I'm excited to go try The Coop. Buck also asked about the Tavistock deal for sure. So this is a really interesting question, Helen. Thanks for asking it. So this is a question I get asked almost every day, but I don't know why we even talk about it live. So the mortgage forbearances, right? A, is it going to get pushed out? Who knows? But B, there were like 2.8 million people that had a mortgage forbearance through COVID, and people start thinking like, okay, that means there has to be some massive. Actually, while I'm typing this out, while I'm talking about this will be really important. Show you guys. So that basically means, hey, listen, are there going to be 2.4 million, 2.8 million foreclosures that actually happen? Honestly, I don't think so. And reason being is that banks don't want to take these houses back. They're going to be, my opinion, they're probably going to take everything that these people owe and just throw it on the end with the interest, catch them up and get them ready to go, right? But worst case scenario, like absolute worst case scenario, all 2.8 million of those people lose their house and go to foreclosure. What will that happen to the market? Well, I think we're actually down about 4 million homes in terms of what we need. And I've actually got a graphic to show you how that makes sense. And so it'll probably catch us up almost to where we need to be, but that just means that market slows down a little bit. Again, I don't think that all 2.8 million are going to actually turn into foreclosures. I think it's going to be, there will be some, but I think for the great majority, most banks don't want to go through 2008, 2009 again. And so they're going to do whatever it takes. And you add in government intervention, which they've already done with so much of this. And I just don't see it happening. I think they're going to want to keep things rolling the way that they're rolling. And so, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I've got this graphic to show you guys. Hold on a second. I can't find it in like 10 seconds. I'll just tell you about it. But yeah, no, it's not coming up. I got this new computer without the text on there. But basically, what the reason why I know we're 4 million homes short of where we need to be is that basically the U.S. government and the building industry got together and they said, okay, how many homes did we not build over the past decade that we needed to? And so, you had basically a lost decade of new construction for a lot of different reasons. The recession happened, and then it was very, very slow. And on average, we were building something like 1 million new houses in the United States every single year. And that dropped down to like 200,000 to 400,000 for a decade. And so you start looking at, there's essentially 4 million homes that were never built. And this is going back like 60 years. That we were on this trend. And so over the past 10 years, we didn't build these houses. And because of that, you've got now people that are wanting to get in the market and the houses just don't exist, which is putting in a pressure on everything. And so, even if 2.8 million pop back in the market, we still could eat that up, unfortunately, which would really just make rents more expensive, because then those people that lose their house need to go rent something, and it's going to continue to drive investors into the market. And then it just becomes a cyclical kind of deal. So anyways, I talked about that a little bit too long, but it's something I think a lot about because I was actually in the market before the last recession, through the recession, and then after, and kind of seen how all of that played out. And so to me, it's really important. Hey, what's going on, Brady Bunch? Good to see you guys. We've been talking about Island Village. You guys are one of the ones that we were talking about Island Village since like 2017 or 2018, right? So I'll definitely email you all of the stuff. So any of you guys that have questions around Island Village and or what's going on here in Central Florida, email me. It's ken@positgroup.com. I do my best to get back to everybody very, very quick. And so, yeah, feel free to email me. I'll send you what you got. Carrie, I'm interested. So you said you're on your fifth offer and you're battling a low appraisal. It's rough out there. So your fifth offer that you've written, or a fifth offer for like a house that you're selling? I'm curious, are you buying or selling? And there's ways, it's interesting with appraisals. There's, an appraiser is an appraisal is an opinion of value, right? You line up 5 appraisers and you're going to get 5 different values. It's the most wild thing. You have some appraisers that are very, very strict, where they're like, listen, I'm not going to give you $1 more than the last house sold for, even if that last house was 6 months ago and the market's gone up 10% since then. And you've got other ones that are looking at the actual market and they're like, yeah, things are going crazy right now. I should probably give you some extra value because yes, this one sold 6 months ago for 400, but now everything else is like 440, and they're going to give you that additional value. And so I used to be an appraiser. It's what I started off as. And so I usually meet the appraisers when the time comes, like on all my listings. And now even some of my buyers, I'm helping the listing agent get through the appraisal process. And I can never, ever talk to an appraiser and say, hey, this is what it needs to appraise for. That's illegal. And I never would. But what I can say is like, hey, here's some information. Here's what we're seeing in the market. We had a house listed for 500. We sold it for 525, but there were 17 offers, 62 showings. And here's why we think, based on all of this external circumstances, here's why we think that it's worth what we sold it for. Now, if you want to list, at that point, you're just giving them information. You're not telling them what it needs to appraise for, because then you're getting in the way, and that's not cool. So, but anyways, I basically say, hey, listen, here's information. Here's all the upgrades that the seller has done compared to the other comparables. That's something that you can't find on the MLS. But as an agent, I'll call the other listing agents that sold other properties and say, hey, tell me a little bit about that house that just recently sold. Did it sell for, I know it sold for what I know it sold for, but like, were there a new roof, AC units? Tell me about the upgrades. Tell me about all of those kind of features that I need to know so that I can give that information to the appraiser. And when we do that, we've got a really good success rate. But then when all else fails and if the data is just not there, then you have to pay over appraisal. And that's what a lot of buyers are doing. They're coming with cash and saying, hey, listen, if it doesn't appraise for 500, I'll pay 20,000 over appraisal value, not to exceed our purchase price. And that's like the terminology that we're using. So Joey, appreciate it, my man. So you mentioned before about an upcoming 55 and older community that I couldn't speak on yet. My parents want to buy Del Webb in Sunbridge. Well, I mean, Del Webb in Sunbridge is already open, so they could buy right away. There's also one coming up in Horizon West. It's called the Oasis by Pulte. That one's getting online. They're moving dirt. My guess is that they're going to start pre-selling here soon. I'm trying to think of the other one you said I couldn't talk about. Joey, I've got your information. I'll reach out. I know there's quite a few coming up. Yeah, happy to do that. Buck said the Coop is fast casual, just like Four Rivers. All right, cool. Yeah, good. You know what? The other fast casual chicken place I really love here is Chicken Guy in Disney Springs. It's by Guy Fieri. It's really good. They've got like 25 sauces that you can choose from. I like the number one with the classic sauce. Doesn't exactly go with like my fitness, but it's a good cheat meal for the week that I really, really enjoy. Jay, what did you see this in terms of like the mortgages going from 30 to 40? I mean, shoot, I don't know anybody that owns a house for 30 years to begin with. So if they put it to 40 years, is it really going to make a huge difference? I don't think so. If you keep the interest rates as low as they are, I don't know anybody that's going to keep a 40-year mortgage, let alone a 30-year mortgage. So I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor, but you got to do what you got to do. Good question here. So from Kent and the Piper. So living downtown Orlando at the Sky House. I was just past there the other day. Is it possible to get a condo downtown that's affordable near this neighborhood? I have an English lab that must be dog friendly, good credit, just never owned. Yeah, I mean, so chatting. I mean, there's actually quite a few affordable condos downtown. So like, this video that I just did, I dove into all of the numbers, and it's like, you can own at the View for like in the 200s and 300s, and the HOA is not actually terrible. Like, I was actually very surprised. On the low end, the HOA is like $250 a month for a condo building with all of those amenities. I was actually shocked. There's a couple other options as well, but yeah, there's definitely some affordable options. So feel free to shoot me an email and we'll chat about it. Josh, this is a good question, man. Josh, I appreciate you. You and a couple of the guys that show up every week ask really good questions, like the hard-hitting questions. It makes for good content, and I super appreciate it. So why do we choose Orlando over Tampa? So for us, it was just we wanted to be inland, away from the hurricanes. We wanted to be closer to Disney. There's always a lot of stuff to do. Tampa, I've got a lot of friends that love Tampa, and that are the people moving there just as crazy as they're moving here to Orlando. But for me, we just wanted to be closer to the theme parks. With that was pretty much it. Inland, away from hurricanes. That was it. Yeah, Randy. So you mentioned 8 to 10 months for our Serenoa build starting next month. You hope, yeah, which makes sense. Pulte's a good mid-grade builder as well. They're probably saying 10 months because of permitting. They're so far behind. You got to think about with COVID. So here's a good breakdown. And Jay Michael, if you and Justin, if you're looking for a pinpoint on where to take from this live, this is a good one. Here's all of the external circumstances that are happening right now with new construction. You've got a supply chain issue where you've got like roofing, windows, garage doors, lumber. All of these things are having massive issues because of COVID. You've got a training issue with the trades. Try to find right now. And I did this video on finding new jobs in Orlando. Like, if you're a tradesperson, like you do plumbing, electrical, painting, you're like, there's a huge demand for you right now, because trying to find good ones is very, very tough. And so you've got that. You've got the permitting backup, because a lot of these people are still working from home. And so you've got like this crunch on how they're doing stuff with COVID stuff, people at the county level, people in the permitting offices. Some are working from home, some of them are only working 3-4 days a week. And so you've got this massive backup. It used to take a month to get a permit. Now it's 2, 3, 4 months. And so you add all of that into like development slowdowns from builders because all of their houses sold too quick, and they didn't think that they would need to build it that quick, build out neighborhoods that quick. So you've got all of these different circumstances coming against us on top of, COVID and job switches and all that kind of stuff. It's just a crazy, there's just so much going on with the new construction piece, to where like Pulte would have told you before 6-month build, they're in and out. Now it's 8 to 10 months. And so just kind of a wild ride we're in right now. Thanks for listening to my rant. Yeah, so Carrie, you mentioned, do I know how, didn't know you started with appraiser. Our lender requested a review. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the reviews 90% of the time, 95% of the time, they don't work out, unfortunately, just because I think, and this isn't like, I don't have any data behind this, but just knowing the market and knowing appraisers, I think it's an ego thing. If an appraiser came out and said, this house is worth $600,000, and me as a realtor or the lender are like, oh, you're wrong, they're just going to dig their heels and say, no, I'm right. Have a good day. And there's nothing that they need to do to change it. Right. And, but if you can say, like, hey, listen, you missed a bedroom or you missed a bathroom, or on the report, it says that it's 3,000 square feet, but I can tell that you didn't even measure the house because it's 3,500 square feet. If you can find a defect in their report, that's like a fact, then you can win a rebuttal. And that's when like that 5 to 10%, we catch something that they might have missed. Hey, did you know that all of these homes are pool homes, and you compared them to non-pool homes, things like that. You can get an appraiser to change their mind. But if it's something that's like, I know a pool is worth $20,000 in this neighborhood, and you only gave us $5,000 on the appraisal, there's nothing there's nothing, unfortunately, you can do to change their mind, because they don't want to be wrong. Who does? Who wants to be wrong? So Nivik says, should we use VA or conventional loan? I think, if you have a VA benefit that you can use, you should. but here's one of the problems that's happening. I'm dealing with a lot of veterans right now using their VA mortgage. When you're going against a conventional mortgage that's putting 20% down, that's doing a huge deposit and some other things like that. If you do a VA, make sure you're saying, hey, listen, we're doing the VA because we just want to use our benefit. We want to keep that money, but we're still willing to maybe go over appraisal if need be, or we're willing to still do a big deposit. Because like, a lot of people will write up, when you write up the contract for VA, it says like, how much of this are you financing? 100%. And then how much are you putting down for a deposit? $20,000. And then at the end, it shows that you're getting the $20,000 back because it's 100% financing, right? So when you're going to write an offer in your VA, make sure that your agent, whether it's somebody on my team or not, is putting in there that that you're willing to do something towards appraisal, because a lot of sellers look at it and say, oh gosh, they're financing 100%. They can't afford this house. I'm going to go with this cash or this conventional deal, which might not always be the case, right? You could have a ton of money, but you just want to use your VA benefit. So make sure that when you're writing those offers, you're really, really clear, because a lot of sellers just don't understand the opportunity that a VA mortgage presents for them. So just an idea. Here's a good one. So NYC Iron 13. I like the helmet, dude. That's a very cool photo. So are there communities that don't allow Airbnb, like Horizon West, like Nona, or just in gated communities? Yeah, I mean, the place has to be essentially zoned, and or that the HOA needs to allow short-term rentals. And so, yeah, like really none of Horizon West, none of like Nona, they allow short-term rentals. And some of these HOAs will charge you like a fee of like $500 a night. Celebration, you're not allowed to do it. If you get caught, it's a big deal. But there's plenty that like have it in their HOA bylaws that there are no restrictions on any short-term rentals. So yeah, you definitely need to know what neighborhoods do and don't. And a good agent will be able to kind of push you in the right direction or show you. But if you're looking on some websites, like I don't think Zillow has it, but I think Realtor.com does. It'll show like length of lease allowed, and you'll see it's like 1 to 7 days. And so some people call me and they're like, "Hey, can I rent this house for 7 days?" I'm like, "No, it's for sale." But they get confused. So when you look down at the rental rates or the rental lengths, that's the realtor putting on the MLS that, hey, this is a short-term rental community. You're allowed to, once you buy it, rent it for 1 to 7 days on a minimum. And then other ones like Celebration, it's a minimum of a year. And so it'll say rental allowed 12 months. Hope that helps. All right, give me 1 second. Coffee break. 146 of you hanging out with me on a Saturday. Thanks so much for joining me. We still have about 10 minutes that we're going to roll on this through. But again, I always so appreciate you guys spending some time on the weekend to learn a little bit more about Orlando. It's something that I'm super passionate about. I love this real estate stuff. I love living here. I'm just like, I feel like I'm an unappointed mayor. Let's see. So Jay asks, are the homes in gated communities in Orlando more sought after? So, it just depends. I mean, some people, I think some areas, it's for safety. Other people, it's because of just the prestige of having a gated community. You will notice that are more luxury type homes in gated communities, but there's plenty that are in the mid-range as well. Are they more sought after? No, I think there's something, because the HOA fees are more expensive on a gated community because they have to typically either pay for the gate or you're paying for somebody to be on site. And when you do that, it makes your affordability go down. So some people are like, I want to buy a house that has the least amount of monthly costs after I purchase it. Great. Well, that's not going to be a gated community, right? But if you want to buy because you want the gated nature and you want the safety, then yeah, so it's personal preference and really your finances. Yeah, good question, Andrew. So are the mortgage rates that builders are offering how do they compare to national traditional lenders? Is it still very early for me to get a rate from a builder, but I'd like to decide whether the credit they offer is better than the lower rate? They also heard that they will not lock in the rate until you're very close to closing. Yeah, usually within 60 days. And so some builders, like Toll Brothers, used to do this deal where like you could lock in for 6 months, but you had to pay them $5,000 or something like that. Their TBI mortgage. And so great question though. So here's the deal. the mortgage lenders that work for the builders or partner with the builders help them offset the credit that they gave you when you signed a contract to build a house. And so that's $5, $10, $15,000. They're gonna offset your rate typically somewhat, right? And so it might be an eighth of a point, a quarter point, something minute. It's typically never a half a point or a full point. You're always going to get the best rate, unfortunately, at like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, but you're going to lose your credit from your builder. But if you do that, and they're the worst to work with. Like I love my people that work at Wells Fargo and Bank of America, but their processes are very, very tough. They're going to scrutinize every little deposit, every little credit that you have into your account. And then a lot of times those are the banks that have the most problems in getting to closing. So there's that trade-off, right? Like if you're going to stay in a house for sure for 15 to 20 years, well, maybe that credit that the builder's giving you isn't worth taking a higher rate. But if it's minute, an eighth of a point, something like that, I would go with the builder's rep, take the credit, and you're good to go. Great question. Here's a really good question from Cooper64. What's up, man? So, or gal, I guess Cooper could be your last name. So should one worry about the quality of builds from a production builder rather than custom builder? Yeah, I think so. There's some builders out there that are absolutely terrible, and they're giving out not the greatest service and not the greatest product, and they don't allow you to do a home inspection. They don't allow you to really see it, and other than the pre-drywall walkthrough and maybe one time at the end, and you're going to have warranty issues, and that's just the market that we're in now. That all being said, homes that are getting built today are significantly better because our local county codes are so much more strict than they used to be in the early 2000s when you had all of these massive issues. But you got to think affordability versus custom home. Like I've got a client of mine right now, super sweet couple. They're like, we just want to build a custom home for $800,000. And I'm like, honestly, to find your own lot and then to build custom, even for 800 is almost impossible in Orlando right now, unless you go really far out. And so if you want the closeness and proximity to Disney or the airport or jobs or anything like that, then you're probably going to go with a production builder. So then it becomes knowing what you're getting into, knowing that like, hey, this builder is known for having X, Y, and Z issues. We should keep an eye out for it. So those are some of the things that like my team and I, we train on all the time of like builder product problems that we run into. How do we get over those problems? Like there's ways to figure out to still have a home inspection, even though some builders don't want you to have one, stuff like that. So really good question. I think that it does become cost prohibitive when you're looking at the custom side. Yeah, this is a great question. Up to 160 people. What's going on, guys? This is awesome. So Jay asks, if I buy a $350,000 home in Orlando with a conventional loan, are my chances high of losing the home to a cash buyer at the moment? Yes, they are. I mean, 200 to 600 right now is very, very possible. Again, I just lost one the other day, over 1.5 million to a cash buyer. So price point doesn't matter as much as, are you willing to do a really short inspection, pay over appraisal? You don't have to pay all cash, but maybe instead of doing a 20% down conventional, you do a 10% down conventional and then use that 10% gap and say, hey, listen, we'll pay anything, $20,000 over appraisal, not to exceed, like I mentioned earlier in the show. I think that's the way that you win if you're in that price point. Unfortunately, anything that you can do to shore up the deal for the seller will then allow you to win. And escalation clauses are huge, saying, hey, listen, I'm willing to pay $1,000 over the highest offer not to exceed X. So say a house is worth $350,000 and you're like, hey, I would pay $370 for that house, but you don't want to just go in at $370 because you're like, maybe I'm overpaying, who knows, right? So you go with an escalation clause. Hey, I'll pay you $1,000 over the highest offer not to exceed the $370, but you have to prove to me that you have something that's at like $365, right? Like you have to give me that offer so I can make sure I'm not crazy here. Now I will tell you, some sellers hate that game. They feel like you're trying to game the system, just come with your best offer. But as an agent, I respect it. I mean, you're doing everything that you can to get something done. Yeah. That's my advice. Stand by. All right, here's one. So True Chan says, looking to move to Florida the next 2 years, close to Disney, newer home between high 200s and low 300s. What do I recommend? At this point, you're, close to Disney is also a personal preference. Some people say I want to see the fireworks to be that close. Others are like, hey, within 45 minutes. So you have to help me with your own personal explanation of how close you want to be. But if you're looking for a house, you're going to need to be like far Claremont, Mineola, Groveland, or the other side, Osceola, or not Osceola. Well, I guess you could go Osceola down into Lake County, farther out, Claremont, Mineola. You're going to go farther south, basically as far out as you can go if you want a single family house. Oviedo is the other thing I was trying to think of. So Oviedo side, Claremont side, or lower if you want that. There's really not much up north. Deltona, I guess you could get something if you want a single family house. If you're willing to go townhome, your options, or condo, your options open up significantly, and you can be very close to Disney if you're willing to do that. But housing, unfortunately, now low 300s is just single family. So you just have to define that for me on what you're looking for, and somebody on the team can definitely help you lock in. So Randy, I hope you're still hanging out, Randy. I'm envious of you having built in Serenoa Lakes, because if you built 2 years ago or 3 years ago, you definitely have some massive equity, because I think that the values there are continuing to go up. My most recent video, we talked about what's changing in Horizon West, and I talked a little bit about Serenoa. Serenoa is, for those of you who don't know, it's in Claremont, and it used to be really hard to get to. It's still kind of hard to get to. It's like 25 minutes from Disney. But if you work from home and Claremont, I think that's an amazing investment. But you used to be able to build a brand new house there in the 300s, like no problem. Now there's no resales, and new construction's almost out. And so Randy here's talking about building in Pulte, their new neighborhood. I think it's called Isle of Serenoa or something like that. Anyways, so yeah, I think the value of the homes are still going up in Serenoa, because people know that the connector roads are coming into Claremont, and that Serenoa is going to be very accessible here very shortly. And so values I've seen those go up from like low 200s, 250, 275 into the 300s, up to 400s. Crazy stuff. So yeah, buy our new house, man. All good. What's going on? All good. No worries. Good to see you, man. Thanks so much for coming by. So Ali, yeah, when do I think the market's going to balance out? I think it's at least a year or two before it starts to balance out. Josh, the number one thing I see with D.R. Horton in your community is the warranty stuff. I have seen a couple water issues where they want to fix it the cheapest way possible, like some window issues. Not a ton. I think we've sold probably dozens of houses in your neighborhood, and it's been like 2 issues that we've seen pop up. But warranty becomes the issue with most of these big builders. Staying on top of them, they promise the world at your final walkthrough, and then a lot of them disappear. That also that warranty manager for the on-site people turns over a lot, and so unfortunately, figuring out like, hey, are they still on the job? And they promised me one thing, and then they moved up in the business because now they're building houses for the developer. Staying on top of that warranty person becomes like a part-time job. Not that you should expect dozens of problems. You shouldn't. You should not expect dozens of problems. But if there are 1 or 2 that pop up and they kind of try to push you off because they would rather you disappear over that first year or 2, and then all of a sudden they don't have to fix that problem if you didn't report it on time. So as soon as you see a warranty issue, reporting it, getting it in writing, making sure the warranty manager gets on top of it, and then just staying on top of them until it's done. All right. Got it. We went a little over here, but there's still a ton of people hanging out. So we'll just maybe take another couple more minutes, take a couple more questions. So this is this is an interesting question. So what's my most expensive prize memorabilia piece? I think that would be 2 different questions. I have a Disney signed check right there. That guy that I bought at an auction a while ago, and the prices on those kind of went crazy. That's actually from Harry Potter, like the movie. What was it, from the Deathly Hallows? That's probably something I really enjoy. That guy I bought again a couple years ago, and it went up. There's some other stuff over here you really can't see, but yeah, these two right here probably are my two favorites. So this one over here up top, you can't see it. Silly Ken. This up here, it's actually from the show Lost, from the Dharma hatch, if you guys are familiar with that. Anyways, that was in the show from Lost. I got that from an auction. Yeah, anyways, I'm a huge nerd on the movies and stuff like that. Yeah, me too, Eric. It's funny, man. I was a big Lost fan, and then the more I bring this thing up that I think I'm like super excited about, and people are like, "Oh, that's cool." I'm like, "It was freaking Lost. It was in the show. I got pictures of like." Anyways, we have to go back. This one actually really cool for those of you that are into Disney stuff. So this big guy here, hard to see with the way I've got this kind of set up. Yeah, it's not going to focus. But anyways, this guy right here is actually Imagineer had a Pirates of the Caribbean blueprint, like actually from the ride from Disney. He had the full like 400-page blueprint from building the ride, and he was like selling one sheet at a time. And so that's what that's from. That's actually from Pirates of the Caribbean. So one of my favorite rides to begin with, but then also a cool piece of actual stuff. Tom asks, what's the best bicycle store in Horizon West area? Downtown Winter Garden has a bunch of like bike run shops down there, and all of my friends that are like into biking, that's where they hang out. And it's also right next to the Orange County Trail. So check that out. That's where I would go. So D asks, not interested in huge builders. What are some quality small home builders? So again, like Snow Construction. I actually just came across Snow Construction down in St. Cloud. Some clients of mine sold a house down there, and I was very impressed with their construction quality. Like they were going against price-wise, they were maybe a little bit more expensive than like the DR Hortons and some of the other ones that we're building down there, but they're trying to expand into like a medium-sized home builder. But they take down developments that are like 30 to 60 houses, and they're building everything from like 300,000 to 700,000, and they're very good at what they do. Like I was just it was like this, like I walked into this house and it was only a year old, and they were getting relocated out of the area, and I was just so impressed with the quality for the price. Gosh, I mean, I wish there were like, you could click and copy and paste builders like that like have a good craft, that offer good quality for the money. And yeah, so Snow Construction, if you can look them up, I think that they do a really good job. Do I see new construction prices dropping anytime soon? And what do I think of Oakland Park homes and Winter Garden? So I don't think the construction prices are going to drop anytime soon, because land continues to get more expensive. So even if the lumber issues and the roofing issues somehow get solved, I don't think prices are going to come down because of those issues, land being one of them. Oakland Park, I love that neighborhood. I think that they have a good mix of builders too. You got David Weekley that builds a really, really great like they're a good production builder. And then you've got J&J Construction and one other one that escapes me right now. But they're more semi-custom or almost custom builders, and they do a really good job as well. And they're getting ready to open up multiple phases of that neighborhood. Finally, there's like 3 more phases left that are over towards Lake Apopka. And so, if you want to be close to downtown Orlando, or not downtown Winter Garden rather, and a short drive up to Oakland Park, I think that's a great neighborhood. It's definitely got like a Celebration-esque vibe, very similar to Lake Baldwin Park. But yeah, I like that neighborhood quite a bit. Really good question. Thank you. Gary says, Pirates is your favorite, but our daughter won't ride because of the drop. Yeah. My youngest daughter, I thought she was going to freak out. She's only 3. When we went down that one, she was like, wee, she was so excited about it. So I was super stoked about it. But all right. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. Maybe one more question. Let's see. I guess maybe 2. So Shannon asked, Bella Colina, 4,000 to 5,000 square foot home. It's going to depend on if you're on the water, your lot size, all that kind of stuff. But I think something like that, it's going to range anywhere from 800 to 900 up to, it could be 2.3 million. Just depends on what you back to. And the cool thing with Dream Finders and Toll Brothers coming in, you can get one of those 4,000 to 5,000 square foot homes, closer to $1 million instead of closer to $2 million. So there's some good opportunity there. All right, guys, I think that is it. I did miss a couple of your questions. There were hundreds of them today, which is awesome. I appreciate the insights and the questions. But listen, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Email is probably the best place. But if not, Instagram would be the second best place. So I'm at Ken Posick. Make sure you follow me over there. I'm also doing stuff really every day. I'm putting out like Disney history, stuff happening in Orlando, just constantly popping up, kind of trying to be that digital mayor of Orlando, if you will, and help you guys in the process, whether you're living here or you're thinking about moving here. So at Ken Posick, feel free to DM me there. I answer every single DM personally, and we'll keep rolling. So thanks so much for joining me on a Saturday. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.